Lot 72 is Pablo Picasso's Bacchanal avec Chevreux. It's a color linoleum cut from 1959. Whether or not you like and appreciate Picasso's images, I think one thing that you definitely have to give Picasso credit for as an artist is that throughout his career, he kept inventing new ways of seeing things and showing people things, and he never stopped working. And this is a case in point where some 50 years into his career, he picks up on this relatively new technique, the color linoleum cut, and produces a body of some 100 master prints in this medium. These are colorful and fun works, and they're also sculptural. He's using a medium that is very malleable, just simply gouging into a block covered with linoleum to create the image. And perhaps he was having fun with it too at this point. You know, he's moving away from the past 10 years that he focused on lithography, which is a much more demanding technique, and going to something that most of us did as, 5-year-olds or 7-year-olds in elementary school. One of the beauties in these prints to me, in the 100 or so color linoleum cuts that Picasso made in the 50s and 60s, is that they show the accessibility of prints. Granted, this is something estimated at $50,000 to $75,000, but it's a large-scale work in multicolors by this hugely famous artist. A painting of this magnitude would sell for millions of dollars. So it's an affordable way, if you will, to collect a work of art by a great artist. Also in this sale are a select group of ceramics by Picasso, multiples much like his prints, including Lot 64, which is entitled Face, from 1955, Lot 66, which is Vase with Bunch, from 1956, and Lot 68, a Spanish dish with toros, from 1957. During a visit to his friend and printer Louis Fort's house in the south of France in the late 1940s, Picasso and Fort decided to attend a local ceramic fair held in the nearby town of Valery. It was there that he met Suzanne and Robert Remier, who were the founders of the Madura pottery workshop. This pottery must have stuck with Picasso, for a year later he went to the Remiers and introduced himself saying, "I want to start making a body of ceramics with you." And from the late 40s through the early 70s, he produced some 600 different ceramic multiples. So to tie in what I was saying about his pursuit of linoleum cuts, again, some 40, 50 years into his career, not slowing down one bit, he decides to go into an entirely different medium from works on paper and produce these beautiful ceramics evocative of earthenware from the south of France, the south of Spain, Italy. And each of these pieces is designed by Picasso. He creates a maquette for each particular edition, and then the professionals at the Madura workshop create the edition which he approves. Throughout the 20, 30 years that he was making ceramics at the Madura workshop, Picasso incorporated motifs that were common in his other works at the time, in his paintings, in his prints, and you see the abstracted faces, the centaurs, the bacchanalia, the fawns, the bullfighting scenes that repeat in his lithographs, in his linoleum cuts from this era. It's just that they're on three-dimensional objects now. This is the Spanish dish with toros, and this is the front side of the dish, or charger. And on the base, or the reverse of the dish, you see the edition number inscribed 36 of 100 in the black band, as well as edition Picasso, and then the Madura stamps right here and here. Lot 78 is an untitled collage, an abstract composition by Le Corbusier from 1956. I wanted to discuss this work because most people know Le Corbusier as an architect or a designer of furniture, and not as a painter or a printmaker. During the mid part of his career in the 1950s, he made a number of color lithographs, really up until the 60s. And this collage, we feel, is perhaps a maquette for one of these prints, in that it has the forms and the look and the feel of the prints that we handle often. The collage is made up of newspaper and magazine clippings pasted onto a piece of paper, over which is applied a heavy texture of gouache and watercolor. The work is signed, also initialed, and dated 1956, lower center. And looking at this image, I see both the architectural sensibility of Le Corbusier, and in a way also the influence of his good friend, the artist Fernand Léger, in the heavy black outlined contours in the image, and even in the form itself. It looks to me like it's probably a musician, an accordion player or something like that, standing before a bookshelf or something of that nature with a bunch of objects on it, still lifes. The scale of this work is also quite impressive. It's nearly 4 feet by 3 feet, and not what we normally think of in terms of collage when they're more intimate pieces on a smaller scale. It has a tremendous wall power. Buyers for this work might not be the same ones interested in the prints of Renoir or Degas or even Picasso for that matter. It's more along the lines of a collector with a deep-seated interest in mid-century modern design, perhaps. And here is an opportunity to own what is a signature image by arguably one of the most famous designers of the 20th century. Lot 87 is a color lithograph made after a design by Marc Chagall. It's the Poppies from 1949. This is an edition of 400 that Chagall made in tandem with his lithographer Charles Sourlier. I'm asked all the time, what is an afterprint? Essentially, an afterprint is just that. It's a print made after a design by the named artist in our catalog. So in this case, Chagall created the Poppies, either as a drawing, a watercolor, a painting, and then asked Sourlier, the lithographer, to interpret that design for him in color lithography. He worked closely with Chagall to produce the final image, which Chagall then authorized, and Chagall signed and numbered the edition. So it's really both of their works. It's not a work that Chagall made by himself. It's a work he made with someone else. But it's not a work that was made after his death or a reproduction or something like that. It's not a posthumous print. It's a work that Chagall actually had his hands on and helped to produce. It's just that he did not create the matrix, the printing matrix from which these prints were made. To be truthful, these really were, for the most part, commercial enterprises, and that explains their larger editions than the, quote, original prints that Chagall made himself, which are known in editions of, say, 50 to 150, whereas this is an edition of 400. In virtually all cases, afterprints are made later in the artist's career, in the case of Chagall or Picasso or Miro, once they've become established and famous, and they're able to find the best printmakers available in the field at the time. No difference here with Chagall choosing Sourlier to create this color lithograph. He's such a talented lithographer that he makes this stupendously beautiful representation of a Chagall design that some would argue is actually better looking than Chagall lithographs themselves.